Hello, 8th grade students. Today we are going to review all of the tools and the procedures for when you are taking your writing SOL tests. Your teacher is going to give you a URL, which is the website that you will copy and paste or you'll click on in order to get to this practice screen. Remember, this is not an actual SOL test. This is just your opportunity to practice using all of the tools, as well as know what you can ask as questions and what we're no longer able to ask when your actual SOL test begins. So ask as many questions today with your teacher and follow along with our guide. First thing you'll notice is the writing tab over here, and you will click on that. And you'll notice it'll have the grade 8. Here it has the practice tools for the writing prompt, and then the writing practice items that you can use for testing out all of the multiple choice. We're going to do the writing prompt first. You'll click Start. And here you saw the beginning one that kind of flashed where you'll type in your normal ID code, and then you end up making sure that when you've signed in, it'll have your actual name masking to your test ticket. But for today's practice, you just put in your first and last name. And as I'm a teacher, I will put in Mrs. Branscombe. And I'll click Start. This one is just saying that this is being used for practice purposes. You must click the I agree to terms and conditions in order to continue. Any writing or choices that you make in your practice will not actually be recorded and kept. Go ahead and click Start when your teacher has checked that everybody is ready where you are. Okay, here you will notice this is the sample screen. So this is the screen that will go through all of the tools, and your teacher will always ask before you begin the actual SOL. They'll say, does anybody have any questions on how to use any of the tools? So let's first go over them, and remember, if you do have a question, ask your teacher. Okay, so here, the first direction you always do is read the directions, which for the writing prompt is not going to be a ton, right? Because you don't have a ton of questions that you're actually answering for. But it does have the directions in the writing space. So here you will notice, oh sorry, I said little, okay, I guess it's an image. You'll see how you can change things with bold, italics, and underline. You can create a list, a bulleted list, or a numbered list. You can undo and redo, and there is also a spell check. Every student should do the spell check before they actually submit. Up here, you'll see you have your pointer tool, which is going to help you to select any of those tools. And you'll also have a bookmark. This is more handy for the multiple choice, but they still have that tool for you. And then they do have the review, just like for any review screen, that will tell you how many, the number of questions and how many that are not answered, and that if you've bookmarked any questions. But for the writing prompt, again, it's only one question, your actual writing prompt. The other important tool is the notepad. This is where you will do your pre-writing or maybe use your kind of graphic organizers or follow making an outline for planning your writing. Your teachers have used the term your pre-write. You will do that here. Additionally, with the notepad, you can easily copy and paste any text and move around the order. And you can also cut and paste. We'll show you that in a moment. The next thing is the exhibit icon window. It's going to pop open and have your prompt. Because this is a sample, it has no actual prompt here, but it will tell you what you are going to write about. I recommend all students, if it has the ability, for you to copy the prompt and go to your notepad and write it down here. If you are a hand writer, you like to write on paper, write the prompt title or write the prompt question on your paper. Your teachers cannot tell you this information while you're in the test, but it is a great skill because it would be right at the very top and you refer right back to your prompt. It's a very smart skill. Next, you'll notice the checklist for writers. And you might go, oh yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this. What's nice though, it actually is interactive, so it will go through and you can go and actually be able to click it, so you don't have to second guess. I think I already did that. Actually go through and click as you go, okay? I really like this plan and checklist for writers. I think you should use that. Your teachers think you should use that. Your principal, you get the point. Lastly, they have the shortcut keys, okay? So we have to copy text and paste text, all right? This is lovely for when you are going from, whether it's in your notepad, you can copy some of your type that you have put in for certain paragraphs and whatnot, or you can also copy and paste from, say you want to move a paragraph up or a paragraph down or a sentence before another. It's an amazing tool. At the end of this, your teacher will probably read through all of the prompts that tells them to go through and read what each tool is. They'll use the very specific language that the SOL from the state has used in their writing manuals, okay? And then they'll say, are there any questions at this time? Raise your hand if you have a question. You don't have to memorize all these tools today. You're becoming familiar, right? You're practicing. Your teachers may even have you go back to use this. They want it to make you feel they want you to feel automatically ready to begin the next section. When your teacher instructs you to, you will then click the button to the right that says Next. Okay, this will be your actual screen where you will write your writing prompt essay. Okay, remember all of the directions that your teachers have given you. So if I was going through, okay, I would first double check. I see I have all of my tools here. Okay, I even have my spell check. Yes, you will use that. But you'll first go and open up the sample prompt icon, okay, and they have the prompt here. If you're not able to copy and paste it, write the prompt on your notepad so you can easily refer back to it, okay? Again, you can always open back up the prompt and you could do this to see it, whatever is easiest for you. Okay, but as you go through, begin to do your pre-write, make your outline, whatever you need in order to prepare yourself for writing your essay. A lot of times students feel they have to begin writing their essay here in the actual answer box, but your teachers are strongly encouraging you to use the notepad. Remember, you don't have to retype it, copy and paste what you've written, delete things you don't like, because this is your pre-write, right? Okay. After you've spent as much time as you need to write your essay, okay, you can go through and use your tools here to check your spelling. All right, make sure that you've indented if you need to, if your teachers have told you that. Put a title if your teachers have told you that. Had your introductory sentence and use proper grammar and transitions, all of those wonderful things. Okay, when you are ready, you'll raise your hand as your teacher has told you in the directions. You will not go ahead and click submit, and they might say, according to the instructions, to double check that you have completed. Okay, so here it says I've not answered it. Okay, but for theirs might pretend one, it's done. Okay, all questions, it says I have answered everything. All right, but you guys would write a real essay. Here they'll tell you to go to the next screen, and it will say end of section 1. Your teacher will read the instructions they are told to tell you, okay, and you will quickly notice in yellow, it's not answered, whether it's in the writing prompt or in the writing multiple choice, okay, and if you've bookmarked anything. And then when you're done, you'll click submit final answers. So for this, I would look and I would go, I have not finished doing my actual writing. You are welcome to tell your teacher, actually, I'm going to go back and work on that. All right, so then you would click previous and go back to your writing. All right, good luck for your writing prompt. Teachers, you're going to pause here and tell your students to exit out of TestNav, and then they'll be directed back to the tab. Yes, you can click leave, or they can practice their writing multiple choice. For here, they have the grade 8 writing, and if your teachers tell you to use audio, they can tell you to use audio, but for the most part, you will use non-audio. There's only certain students that have this direction to use the audio. So whichever one it is, we're still going to review those tools. Click on the type of writing multiple choice test that your teacher tells you to. Here it says, welcome a guest. Grade 8 writing practice items. There is section 1, and it tells you how many questions are in the section. You'll click start. You'll agree to the terms and conditions again, just like you would for your real multiple choice test. Then when your teacher tells you, don't click start yet, but when they tell you, you'll click start. You will notice that this screen has different parts to it. The first thing you always do is read the directions as follows. So here you would go read Zane's rough draft and use it to answer the questions that follow. You'll notice on the left-hand side you have the draft. You can click to scroll down, or if you are on a desktop computer or you have a wireless mouse, you can use the scrolling feature on your mouse. Okay, so you read the rough draft, you go through, and then you would continue. Okay, so here you would go ahead and begin reading the first block. If it maybe has a picture or if there is text that is inside of a text box, or if you notice things that maybe they're italicized, remember all of those text features have a purpose for the reader, okay? So here you begin Dinosaur Diner. You read the directions that Zane was given and begin to read the rough draft. As you notice as you go through, each sentence has a sentence number because the questions are going to refer back to that question when you get to the question section, okay? The reading pane will always be here on the left side. For practice, say I thought that this was an important sentence. It had something that maybe there was a mistake, or maybe I thought it would need a transition or something that kind of stood out to me. All right, they have two examples of text highlighters, so I can highlight it, okay? This is really great when you get to a question and it says, in sentence 3, okay, you might immediately come back and highlight that sentence, okay? If you notice you made a mistake, you can select what you had highlighted and select to unhighlight that whole area. Okay, from here, after you have read, you can click the next button. All right, so for here, it says, how is sentence 3 best revised for clarity? So you can go over to the text pane, scroll back up, okay, find sentence 3. So if I'm going through here, best revised for clarity. So revised for clarity. You're going to think to yourself, okay, clarity, they're meaning how can I rewrite this to make it the most clear? All right, so I'm going to highlight that sentence. I even tell my students when I do writing classes to highlight the sentence before and after, before I go back to that question. And I'm going to reread this whole section to get the best context. So you'll reread this to yourself. Once you do, you're going to go back to your question and choose the best answer, okay? But if you're going through and you're able to eliminate one and you're like stuck, pretend you're stuck with 2, again, go back, reread that sentence to see which one sounds more clear, that has the best clarity of what they're trying to say in this rough draft. And that's just one example of a type of question. Say I thought that it could have been B or A and I was unsure and I really don't know, and I know that it's not C and not D, okay? I could leave this question, okay? And remember, you must use the pointer tool to choose your answer. But I'm like, you know what? I just don't know. I'm going to go ahead and bookmark that question because at the end, before I submit, I'll get a reminder that I've bookmarked a question to go back to and double check my answer. Sometimes stepping away and after you tried your best and you go back, you have that kind of aha moment. This is really wonderful. So I'll go ahead and continue and move on. Now we're on our next question, and this question's a little different than the one previously. It's not multiple choice. Again, you always read the directions before you answer the question. Directions: drag the quotation marks into the correct locations within the sentence. You also might notice every time I hover over the question, it's popping up with a few different tools. This will not happen on your actual SOL test. It's only there because of the practice and how it is formatted. Just ignore it. Here it has the question, how is sentence 12 correctly punctuated? Where I then go back into the text, I highlighted the section, and it's telling me to add the quotation marks to the correct locations. All right, if I really don't know, I can go ahead and again bookmark it to come back, but say I think it's here, I'll go boop, or maybe I thought it was supposed to go over here. Whatever it might be, go ahead and place the quotations where you think. Okay, bookmark again if you need to. And once you're done, go back to the next question, or go on to the next question. Now it has a revision question, how to rewrite a sentence. Which revision of sentence 14 uses the most descriptive language? Again, looking at that question, you would go through, you can select to highlight anything there. So if you're like, ooh, the most descriptive language, and again, I'm going to be looking for the best revision or the best rewrite of how that sentence should be. What I've always told my students, you're going to highlight the question in the text. And then also to give you context, you always reread the sentence before and the sentence after to give you the whole picture of what you're looking at. Say I read all of these suggestions. I've reread the sentences, looked mainly at the sentence they're asking about, and I have no idea. I don't even know which one to X out. So when later on you'll notice, I'm just going to go ahead, I'll bookmark it, but you'll notice at the very end it will tell you how many questions you didn't answer. And I didn't answer because I didn't choose one. Okay. You'll notice a couple other times where they will have parts of a sentence underlined. Those are very important as well to refer back to when they're asking specifics about a certain sentence. Okay, and now I'm going to go on to our next question to show you another great feature. Some of you may remember from previous SOLs how you can change the background or foreground color. Here it would have you sign out, and you would never do this without asking your teacher because that is actually a part of the directions they'll tell you the day of. But this is actually another wonderful resource for people who are like me and maybe they get a little bit lost as they're reading a lot of text, where it will highlight one sentence at a time. This you can turn on and turn off, and you can also expand it so it will highlight just a section or two at a time. This is called the reader mask. It's great to help you focus on a question at hand without having your eyes feel like they're almost lost while you're trying to answer a question. Okay, again, this is another TEI drag and drop certain answers. So here, read the question, drag the correct answer to the box. Here's the question. Which word replaces detailed in sentence 33 to make the meaning most precise? Okay. I tell my students to reread a question again because sometimes when you read it the first time, you might go, okay, I read it, But if you're not quite sure what it meant, reread it again to see what they're precisely asking. Again, I tell my students, if they're talking about sentence 33, go back to the text so you are ready for sentence 33, which is in the middle of this text box here. This would be a great one where you show the reader mask and go to, you can again go to the sentence before, or you can go to just to that direct sentence so you can focus on it. And they're looking for a word that makes the meaning most precise. So if you think about meaning words, this is talking about synonyms, not antonyms. Okay? So you're looking for a better synonym to the word detailed. I'm not going through every single question to tell you how to answer it, but I want you to see all the different types of questions. Okay, now we're going to go on to the next section. Let me go ahead and clear this feature. I went through and began to look at a question, and I was like, it's kind of hard when you have sometimes all the question suggestions in front of you. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this, okay? Here's the question. Which question would not help Fran narrow down the topic of potato chips? So here you would reread the section about the directions to help Fran writing about potato chips. But here it has all the different types. When you have a not question, you might think, okay, 3 of them are going to be correct answers. I'm looking for the one that is the incorrect answer to helping Fran. But you can use this special tool at any time. This tool is called Enable Answer Masking. It helps you to focus on one answer choice at a time. It's even great when you're doing math and you realize a question is right or wrong. So here, I'm going to go through and double check each type of question to see if it is in fact the one that is not going to help or eliminate it as a possible answer choice. So you might go through and say, okay, you know what? This one does help Fran, so I am going to go ahead and remove that one because it's not the one that's going to be the wrong answer. We're looking for the wrong one. So I hide it. I move on. Are potato chips the favorite snack for most Americans? Maybe I'm going, I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and skip that one. Let me go to the next one. And then I'm going through and I go, yes, this is one of the possible choices. It is going to help her narrow down her thoughts. And maybe I'm looking here and I'm going, I'm not sure about that one either. So if I undo all of these, I've at least narrowed it down to 2. But say I had known and I went here and I was like, you know what, this one's not going to help either. If I unmask all of them, I will then be left with my answer choice that I could then select. Again, don't know if this is the right answer. This is just helping you use the tool Answer Masking, which you can turn on and off for any multiple choice question. If you're ever reading on your Chromebook and you've noticed that maybe the text is too small, there is an opportunity for you to zoom in and zoom out using your keyboard. You can press and hold down the Control+ button, and it will enlarge the text to as large as you need it. I pressed the Control+ as many times as I needed in order to easily read the text. You can do the same to make it smaller. Control-. The plus and the minus are found on the number bar on your keyboard. Here is another type of question that's a little different from the others. On this question, you're not able to eliminate answer choices. All right, so that means that you're going to have to use the pointer tool to select the correct answer. But again, it's not multiple choice. So they gave you, they tell you to select the correct answer, only one answer. Which website would be most helpful for Fran to find information about cooking potato chips at home? So I'm looking for something about cooking potato chips at home. The way that you select this answer choice is by highlighting over and you can kind of see it becomes engaged by highlighting over the actual website that they told you. All right, so looking here, I might go, oh, okay, maybe this is it, or maybe this is it, whatever it might be. You'll notice it's not letting you choose multiple websites. There are questions. Here is another type of question where you might look and want to go to select, but it only allows you to choose one of the pictures. So here it says read and answer the following question. Select the correct answer. It says which graphic would best be used with an article discussing employment opportunities for middle school students. Well, and you might go, okay, here I think maybe it's this one. And you go, oh, nope, I think it's actually this one. So I go to click on it and it won't let me. And you might notice it says you must remove an answer before you choose a new one. So I actually have to go back, click on that choice before I go on to the actual one that I would like. Make sure to notice as you're going through if there's something that pops up, if there's an error. And again, when you're answering a multiple choice question or one such as this, you must use the pointer tool in order to answer the question. Here's another type of technology question where you are able to use the elimination tool. So here, this is a question that you select the note that should be removed after reading the rough draft. So it says the selected note will be marked with a strike-through line. So the answer will have a strike-through line. It gives you the question, before writing her report, Sandra makes these notes about how coconut palm trees are useful. Which note does not belong? Okay, which one does not belong? And as I go through, I kind of also want to be able to remove the ones I know are not going to be, or I want to remove the ones that do belong, right? I want to find the one that does not belong. So this is kind of a tricky one, because if I put an X over some of them, I might go, okay, this kind of looks like they're incorrect. To make the actual right answer, if I go back to my pointer tool, say I decided this was the one, I would strike through it, and this is how you would properly answer this question. So it tells you the one you choose will be marked with a strike-through line. But just note that you can only choose one of them. So if you try to move and you're like, oh, I selected the first one, but I haven't read the others, it tells you to remove that one. So as I go through, I go, oh, okay, well, it's not this one. It's not this one, and I'm going along. I'm trying each answer, and I go, this is it. But I don't want to exit out. I use the pointer tool to select. Okay, now the next section says, read Sandra's rough draft and use it to answer the questions that follow. I just want to point out just a little bit of information. As you are reading through, maybe you're going to use your line reader mask, right? As you read through and you're going along, you might notice this sort of script. All right, this is a footnote. It's telling you that this word or this phrase, there is going to be more information about it at the end of the text. Maybe it is a harder word or a new topic you might not know of. So as you go through and you read, at the very bottom, that's where, if you think about your body, there's a footnote there, right? And it tells you proverb, a familiar statement that expresses a basic truth. Just gives you a little more information. So if it looks kind of funny like this, there could be more than one footnote number on a page. So you might have maybe recognizable, would have a 2. All of those footnotes would be found at the bottom of that page. Here is another feature for usability for any student. You'll notice that this page is light blue, and all the ones before are as well. On this page where it has question 22, I had gone through and maybe I was reading along and my eyes were becoming strained. You can actually change the background color at any time. The normal color for everybody as you come into the test is black on white. And we do recommend that if your eyes are becoming strained from that bright white, you have that permission. It's up to you. No one can suggest it. To choose a color that is going to keep your eyes relaxed and able to focus. I know for me personally, this bright yellow on this kind of royal blue actually makes me a little more distracted and it actually does not help me at all. Whereas the black on the cream is a little bit more helpful. You choose the one you like, or don't choose one at all. You can just continue your test. And that is the formal walkthrough of all the different features given the writing prompt and the writing multiple choice. Again, students, good luck on your test, and remember to use your tools.